All right, we are live. Good morning, guys. Back for round 2 or 3, or I've lost count. We are at the Texas High School Coach Association down at Coaching School in San Antonio, Texas. Joined by Adam Harvey. Adam is he's been on the show before. Coach, we've met in Nashville. We've met in San Antonio.
Yes, sir.
Neither place I live, but you're from around here, right?
I am. Yeah, about 40 minutes north here.
Yeah. So coming to his hometown. There we go. Got to come down here and get an interview. So
yes, sir.
Real quick, Ace Sports guys, if you aren't happy with the way you're fundraising, if you continuously find yourself short on whatever it is, your big dream, big ticket items, look, some people use Ace Sports to get into turf. Some people use it to revamp a stadium. Some people use it to whatever you need. There's an option out there for you with Ace Sports. Fully customizable boards. If you need to dress up the side of it, you just want a square board, get a square board. You want your name on top, do that. You want it to look like a stinking castle around it, maybe there's a application for you. So I was sitting with the owner, Jason, last night. I was sitting at dinner, and he was just showing me pictures of some amazing builds out there they've done for different schools. So there is a level of awesome for everyone, regardless of what your budget is, regardless of how big your school is. Don't think that like your school is too small to go get a video board. There is an application for you, acesports.com. You can DM me, you can text me, you can email me. Mark.Bridges at Ace Sports is the other email. Mark will hook you up. Ryan, if you're in the Oklahoma, man, I forgot all his places. Kansas, Missouri, on and on and on and on. Mark, you trying to take my other coffee? Is that what's going on right now? It's mine, but you can have it. Getting thefted right here while I'm live. Thefted of my second coffee. Anyway, acesports.com. Coach, let's talk some ball, man. First
Absolutely.
of all, you'll have to reintroduce yourself because, podcast listeners are like flies, like the rest of us. We have a short memory span.
Oh, there's a few out there, right? A few options.
So many stinking podcasts.
There are.
Everyone has a podcast.
Right. I know. I remember when podcasts became a thing. In fact, I'm just coming in from an interview upstairs of a guy that's been doing podcasts for 21 years. I'm like, man, you're an OG.
He did radio. That's what that was called.
Exactly. Yeah. But no, it's cool. Yeah. Adam Harvey. I've been in the state of Texas pretty much my entire career. Spent a couple years in the state of Indiana when I thought I wanted to be a basketball coach, and then realized, man, these guys don't play football up here. No offense to you guys in Indiana or the Midwest. It was football. It's just not Texas.
Right.
And so moved back in 2005 and actually moved to San Antonio and have been in South Texas or Central Texas really ever since. So going on 20 years, just past 20 years, I guess, exactly. And, got my first head job just about a year and a half ago, and absolutely loving the head life. But at the same time, we're building a school, so that's a lot. It's a lot of work, but a lot of fun. And we're just trying to take it one day at a time right now as we continue to build it like we want it, and all that comes with that. So it's been good.
We had Coach Melton on in the last little session there, and you guys are listening later. I probably released it last week, but he was kind of talking about that first couple of years, 3 wins, but now he's everything's going right. But you got to get that, you got to get it installed.
Yeah, man.
Whether it's your scheme, your culture, your identity, whatever it is.
100%. The foundation, right, is what it is. I think one of the misnomers, and coaches can talk scheme, all the time, right? I can too. I love to get on the whiteboard, love to talk ball, but you can't overlook culture. And in the moment you do, I think you're selling yourself short, you're selling your kids short, and that's something in the program piece that is extremely important. And so, yeah, that's what we're able to do right now. Is we start with freshmen and sophomores in 2024, and we'll add juniors here in 25, and so just really making sure that the standard is the standard, and I'm a huge Tim Kite fan. Unfortunately, he passed last summer, I guess it was. So Brian and I still keep up with a lot of his stuff, but one of the things that Tim Kite did a great job, I felt like, preaching with the E plus R equals O and whatnot, is like, there's 4 stages, and it's a famous philosopher, I can't remember his name at the moment, in the 60s that came out with like, there's 4 different stages of building a culture, right? You got to form, you got to storm, you got to norm, and then you got to perform, right? So it's kind of cool, like, we're really breaking that up, and year 1 was all about forming. What do we want the culture to look like? What's that standard look like? Now we're entering the storm, right? So the fun really begins. But it's been good, man. Like, our kids have bought in, our parents have bought in. It's the oldest school district in the state of Texas, and yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I mean, we're pretty proud of all things athletics in Texas, but football, it's deep. So that school that we branched off from, if you will, Cliff Kingsbury is probably the most notable alum, but yeah, they've had some ball players, and been rich in baseball, been really good in football, and so we're just hoping to not necessarily live in the shadows, but kind of build off of what they've already had done for 180 years. That's how old the school district was, and they're the unicorns, right? So here we are, the Dragons, staying with the mythical theme, and
I love it.
Trying to form our own culture within the midst of New Braunfels ISD and all that comes with it.
I mean, if you can rep a unicorn for 180 years and do good, hey, you've got it going on. I want to learn from that kind of guy too. So.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome, Coach. Man, going into your first year here, kind of what are some of the drawbacks you've seen? And if it's too much put out on the air, I get it.
Yeah.
But guys are going to take first-time head coaching jobs, and what is it like? What was the thing that surprised you as you jumped into those waters?
Man, not to divert it all, but I really tried to minimize expectations. I think we can cripple ourselves with expectations, right? Like, I'm as competitive as they come. Aren't we all? We're coaches.
Right.
But I really wanted to make sure that while I have goals and I had, aspirations as, not only to become a head coach, but then what does it look like once you finally get the gig? But I really wanted to kind of divert all of those expectations into literally take it one day at a time, right? So, there's challenges for sure, being a first-time head coach, but I've got a lot of challenges for me personally because we're opening a school. So it's hard to really compare, I think, and, I always want to give advice. What I would say, I think above all, it would be who you are, man. Like, take what you've seen that has worked in other programs for sure, but don't emulate it so much that you don't make it your own, and your kids aren't the same kids from where you came from. So
right.
Be able to tailor your program, be able to tailor your philosophy, and that goes all the way from culture to X's and O's, and make it your own, and then make sure your kids are able to buy into it, right? Like, speak with clarity, make sure they, again, go into the forming, storming, norming, and performing piece. Like, whatever you form, you're going to have to enter that storm to figure out what comes out of that, right? Like, strain it and make sure that as you strain it, turn over every stone, leave no stone unturned, so that your norms are exactly what you wanted from the get-go. And some of it's going to work well. Some of it that you thought would be maybe a staple, it may not be.
It may not work at all.
It may not be because of the culture of the the community that you're in, right? So I would just say, man, like, yeah, have expectations, but don't allow those expectations to just overrun you, right? Because you're going to have to make adjustments.
Two things come to mind as I'm listening to you talk about, forming, storming, norming, and performing, and that, Mike Tyson's quote, of course, famously, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face, right?
Yep.
So, yeah, your culture on paper looks amazing. You write up a big thing. It's a book. You've got it all ready. Who cares, man? You get hit in the face the first time. How are you going to react? Does your plan even make it through the fight, right? I think
absolutely.
That's big time. So going into a second year, I'm anxious to see kind of what changes for you, what doesn't stick around, what do you got to trim the fat. And then I had another one and I forgot it because that's how life works. But anyway, I always think that's really neat to hear you having that plan at least. A lot of guys wouldn't even think about that. Like, what am I going to do if this doesn't work? What if this doesn't take hold with these kids, these parents, this community? That's a real thing. It is, man. Well, and that's, wow. Like, going back to Kite for a second, and this steps on a lot of coaches' toes, but I think sometimes I'm a coach. I'll be a part of this. We're the most uncoachable people you can run across. Yeah. Man, that's dangerous, right? Coach, I am a consultant of football. I understand.
100%.
The people that pay you to come teach them don't listen to you. So.
I tell you, man. And so going back to that piece, like, if you're working on Saturday and Sunday and you've got the best game plan known to man, and you happen to be like Cibolo Still in 2016, well, Sean Robinson is spinning it to Laviska Chenault and Katie Nixon. Well, these dudes are dudes just like we had. You better come up with something else, because when Sean Robinson lets go of football and it's on a rope, no matter what coverage you're in, right? Like, you got to figure out ways to, again, put aside your pride and the things that you might have thought would work. And, that goes for really any ball game. But that's life, right? Like, I've had to make adjustments in my marriage that weren't fun. And had I not done that, I wouldn't be wearing a ring right now, right? And so, man, that's just where it is. Like, I want to make sure. So kind of going back to your point too, like, we want to create competitors more than winners. And I think a lot of times that's, whoa, hold on, we got to win. And you're obviously in the state of Texas, if I don't win, I'm not going to have a job very long. But, man, I want to teach kids how to compete, because at some point you're going to compete for a spouse. And guess what? You're not going to win every one of those those women, right? And then you're going to have to compete for your kids. And what I mean by that is I got 2 teenagers at home. I have to compete for their time.
Yeah.
Because the moment we get home, and it's not, hey,
Nintendo, Netflix.
Bingo.
I mean, there's a screen out there for all ages nowadays, right?
Well, speaking of age, you just aged yourself. There is no Nintendo. It's all PS5. And
hey, Nintendo Switch, baby. They just put out a number 2.
There you go.
So,
well, what do I know?
Welcome back in the fray. Thank you, Nintendo.
That's funny. Yeah. It's so true, though. Like, we compete for our kids' time now, and so, like, what am I going to do as a father to like, spend time with my teenage boys, who, by the way, are completely different, right? So there's such a competition factor that goes into that we could easily turn a blind eye to. It's just not my DNA. I want to compete, right? And man, I've failed along the way more than I've been successful, and it's way okay, right? And a lot of people are like, whoa, hang on, like, don't tell people it took you 13 times to get a head job. Where I'm like, it took me 13 times, and I'm way okay with that. That one that I won, I'm going to make sure that I do it right. I'm going to make sure that we're successful. And I'm going to use the words that a lot of people might be afraid to use at times, right? Like, we want to be elite. Well, what does that mean? That means the absolute best. Does that mean we're going to get there? I would hope so one day. It's all about a mindset, right? Like, we talked in Nashville about press coverage. It's about a mindset. Well, I don't have the dudes to do that. Well, teach them how to coach. Teach them how to. Teach them how.
We had Dominic Franks come on. I don't know if this is with the other, may have been in the other podcast, and I never heard that stuff in my life, and I played DB. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
He was teaching. It was so simple. Like, those things can be taught. While we're on the idea of scheme here for a minute, I just want to point out, and you talk about raise your hand being in the boat. 100% me. Your scheme isn't going to save every school. So you talked about 13 attempts to get a head coach. I think I'm at 6. Still ain't got the job. And that's okay. It's probably for the better, honestly.
Yeah.
I go in, I learn what I'm doing wrong.
Absolutely.
I come out and I polish it up, and we'll go back and try again. But your scheme can't save everyone, right? And when we're talking today, when Coach Melt was on talking relationships, you're here talking about culture and being a mindset, and just every day you got to go to work and set that in. It ain't going to be your scheme. It ain't going to be how you coach offense or defense, right? It's going to be how are you around kids? How are you around bringing up your wife is a great point, right? I love my wife. We have a great relationship. I want to show it off to everyone because I want those kids to learn what right looks like through us. So being that beacon of here's what it's supposed to look like, guys. Not that we're perfect and we screw up all the time. I love that you said, you failed more than you succeeded, because I fail every day in my marriage, right? I screw something up. Maybe it's just not getting the dishes done. Maybe it's I don't get up and get the kids dressed in time. Whatever it is, I'm failing somewhere. My wife does not hold it over my head. We don't keep scoring, that's good, because I would lose the ball game if we were keeping scoring. Right. But kids know when they see that's what the goal is in life, whatever it is.
Right.
They might go on and be the starting running back for the Dallas Cowboys, or they might never touch the ball again after high school. It don't matter. That's not what I can't teach them that. I cannot teach you genetics. I cannot teach you DNA. I can give you a few things that might help you be good at whatever you are. But in life, I think we have so much to offer.
Absolutely, man. Well, and how can you turn that into competition, right? Like you said, we don't keep score necessarily, but it's funny, like we joke, right, as husbands, I don't know what my wife wants a lot of times, but that's competition too, right? Figure her out. I've been married 23 years and I'm still trying. I've failed a lot in that world too, but
kudos for making it 23. That's rare waters.
Thank you.
In this day and age.
It is, man. And we were babes when we got married, and she's upstairs right now doing the coach's wife thing, and so it's really cool. Like you unfortunately you hear all the time, like, there's one of two coaches' wives that you're going to get, right? A good one or a next one.
Yeah.
I would also say a former one, and unfortunately, and especially in Texas with our shortage right now, there's a lot of people getting out, and so, man, I'm just so blessed because I don't know what else I'd do. I could not go and do anything else but coach ball.
Yeah.
And it's more than just those X's and O's. Going back to the relationships that Coach Melton hit on earlier, man, that's it for me. That's the substance, and so, as we teach competition, as we teach culture, as we teach the standard, find ways to compete within yourself. But, like, how can you win the hearts of those kiddos, right? Because those kids are going to call you when they get married. They're going to call you when they have their kid. They're going to call you when, they're competing for a job. And you can revert back to the things that you taught them through the platform of ball. I don't know any better way. So
one of the coolest text messages I've ever got was Shannon was a kid that we took in from my very first coaching job, and we brought him into our home to try to get him a step up in life. He just needed a little help. And, all these years later, he texts me a picture of his son, his newborn son. He's like, "What's up?" Because he always called me Coach Dad.
Nice.
And now it's Coach Grandpa, right? Like
that's awesome,
man. I got to it feels so good to know. I hope that my coaches think the same thing when I talk about them. Like, man, I'm still part of that guy's what he thinks about. Like that's just knowing you've made an impact. That's really neat.
Nothing better, man. Nothing better.
I want to change gears. I know that we've talked relationships quite a bit here. We're getting into this shortage, and we're talking about coaching shortage. Texas, y'all are like, it blows my mind. I think it was last year or 2 years ago. They had the picture of the coaching wall, right? Jobs open, and there was no resumes up.
Right.
What are we doing to combat that in Texas, like over these next couple of years? Is the culture? We talk culture. Culture in my area, if you get in with the right coaches, is you don't have a family. You know what I mean? Kiss your wife goodbye because we've got coaching to do. It's January, but by God, you better be learning how to coach.
Sure.
What are we doing to combat that as a total here?
Yeah, I got to quote Saban, and the truth of the matter is, especially in Texas and how many good coaches there are, like, it takes what it takes. I think you got to work smarter, not harder, right? Like the analytics world is coming into play. I think to answer your question specifically, I think the association has done a really good job with a couple of different initiatives. You may or may not have seen the Rock Mentorship Program that the association started a few years ago. I was fortunate enough to be a part of that inaugural year and then also the year after. So I did 2 sessions with them and still to this day try to reach out to my mentees, and just check on them, make sure they're good. I think there's more to be done, but I think, our association has done a good job with that. Fortunately and unfortunately, when the politics come into play, like, I think money is a big part of it, man, and the way inflation is just really kind of driven people away. Like, you mean to tell me I got to work that much and I'm not going to get paid what I really feel like I'm worth?
They tell you don't ever calculate the hourly, right?
Absolutely, don't do it. That's the dangerous. So I think, the combative piece, it does take what it takes, and you can't shortcut anything, right? Like, the moment you start to try to shortcut things, you're going to get fired, so then you're not really helping yourself out. But I think one of the things, like, my wife and I were talking about this the other day, like, going into year 2, the storm, right? We tried to form a solid culture and a family atmosphere in our staff. But how can we really, really tap into our people and not only make them feel welcomed, but make sure that they know they're supported in all things, whether that's parenthood or what it looks like to be a coach and a coach's wife or coach's kids, And again, we've got 2 teenagers at home that can also tap into that and teach our kids how to, maybe, I guess, in a roundabout way, become a mentor themselves.
Right.
And, take the little ones under, my offensive coordinator's got 5-year-old twins, and so there's something my 13-year-old can teach those boys, and he's probably not ready for that, but, like, toss him into the storm, and then I think what would happen there is just, we have a young coach on staff. His wife just got a job within our district, which is really cool. She's a nurse, and so she was working in the hospital and then went to a clinic and still was like, this is not it, and now she's going to go into the school nurse thing, and it was one of our feeders, so I was able to contact the principal, and she got the job, and she reached out to my wife the other day and just said, I'm so thankful for y'all. And so I think, that's a natural way to combat the shortage, so to speak, but it's also it's extremely important that as relationships happen and we as a staff continue to gel, that we're there for them through and through in the thickness of life, as well as, the ups and downs and all that comes with that. So, I have no doubt in my mind that the majority of the, schools in the state of Texas are doing that type of thing. One of the things I would like to see on the heels of like the Rock Mentorship Program, and that's kind of a recruitment process to get in, or excuse me, a retainment process, but let's find a way to recruit, right? So, I served as what they call a cooperating teacher in the, student teaching world, through the university, both Texas State University, UTSA, just because that's the area. So really like tapping into those education departments, reaching out to them and saying, hey man, like, let's get these freshmen that are coming in to these campuses as a collegiate, college student, and they may not be athletes at the moment, but they may be, interested in coaching, and how can we recruit them to our profession right now?
For sure.
So I'm recruiting a club baseball coach right now. He's 23 years old. I'm like, dude, you got to get into educational-based athletics. because he's one of the few club guys that actually teach the right things, in my opinion, when it comes to, again, productive citizens of society. I'm not here to bash the club world, the club scene. There's a lot of that missing.
Yeah.
Go watch a tournament. There's a lot of bad sportsmanship going on. And that's why the Texas way has come about, right? Like, I don't know if you've done any research on the Texas way, but, like, let's teach sportsmanship here, right? So get me on a soapbox there, man. Yeah.
No, that's good. And it's good that at least your association has identified the issue and is trying something. And I'm like, Oklahoma's not far behind, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like just as a profession, stewards of the profession, we're getting better. Shortening hours, it's no more like go home, get 3 hours sleep on Friday night and come back and be here Saturday for film and
Sure.
you're here all day and you're all day Sunday. Once again, that kiss your wife goodbye in August because it's coaching time. Like, I feel like that's going away. And if it's not, those aren't people in my network, so I wouldn't know about it, right? Because
Sure.
those kind of people don't want to hear the wrong, the most uncoachable people are us coaches, like you said earlier.
Man, that's so true. Not to cut you off, but, like, think about Nick Saban, right? I quoted him earlier. It takes what it takes. I don't know that I've ever heard, and I've heard Nick Saban speak, I think 3 or 4 times now. One time was here at this clinic. Never have I heard that guy speak where he didn't mention Miss Terry.
Right.
And he'll do it a lot, like on ESPN, right? Well, Miss Terry this, Miss Terry that, right? And that dude was a grinder, right? But, like, he still found a way to have Miss Terry, right, giving him the business, if you will. And it's so true. Like how can we do what we need to do to be successful in our role, but also, like you said, not kiss our wife goodbye, for 7 months out of the year or whatever it is. And so, I think there's definitely a balance there. We got to work, especially in Texas. Like, I'm not a big fan of, hey, work from home either. I'm really not, because it's the quality versus quantity piece, right? Like, if I tell my staff, hey, we're not going to work on Saturday, go home, I expect them to go home and be with their wives. Well, there's a lot of coaches that say, we're not going to work on Saturday, go home and watch film, go home and break down film. And I'm like, that's dangerous in my opinion. You might as well go up there for 3 hours. Now, it doesn't have to be 6 or 7 like we used to. Go up there for 3 hours, and, like, if your wife is like mine, she's a night owl anyway, so she sleeps until 10:30. That's not a knock. That's just the truth.
It is what it is.
And so get up at 7 and go from 7 to 10, knowing that she'll be up at 10:30. And if your wife is a morning person, well, maybe you do stay late up. I don't know. Maybe she's already in bed the night before, right?
Right.
Maybe that is your Friday nights after the game, which, there's certain times where, and like on Sundays, we work on Sunday afternoons, but I want to make sure the morning is sacred for church. Let's show up at 1 o'clock, and my guys all know, like, you will be done in 4 hours. So make sure at 1 o'clock you are ready to start your game plan.
Right.
And we are cutting it off at 5. Because if we can't figure out how to game plan somebody in a matter of 4 hours after we've done what we've done on Saturday, probably another job. Exactly. So it's a quality versus quantity piece for us. We know the quantity is going to be low. It doesn't have to be, completely zero, but make sure that the quality is there. When you're present with your family, be present, right? Don't say I'm at home and then go do something else.
I'm guilty, especially because I've coached. I've been a lay coach last year, and then next year I will be as well. And so, the school I work for is 2 hours away. So I do the stay home. And I get caught in there, right? You're just on the computer, You're downloading film, you're statting, you're tagging. Get carried away pretty quick. So you're right.
Probably speaking out of turn. It's not here. She'd be like, "Oh, you work all the time," Because how do you turn it off, right? Like,
you don't.
High voltage.
Yeah.
But I really, I really try to be present when I'm home. It's important to me.
That's a good thing. You have to identify and then work at it, right? We're talking about plans all day and cultures and what does right look like, and that's part of it. You got to do those little things too. Yeah. Well, sweet, Adam, man. I don't want to steal too much of your time. I know you've got a bunch of fun stuff to do today. Appreciate you jumping on the podcast with us. Guys, if you haven't already, look up Ace Sports. I was just thinking while we were talking stat and film and how much time that takes. Let me get the right website. I don't want to screw this up, guys. I just looked at it. winningedgeperformanceanalytics.com. If you go over there, Coach right now has got a first-year 20% discount if you use the promo code Coaching101pod. I can't remember. I'll put the ticker on the bottom. It'll be there. Anyway, check that out. And that is going to help you tag your game while you're playing the game. So you get the analytics of it at halftime or after the third quarter or whenever you need it, going to overtime, you know what's working, what isn't. More than anything, it tags your film. You just export it, import it straight into Huddle, and now you're not spending Saturdays tagging film. It's already done. So
there you go.
The promo code's running across the bottom of the screen there. I can't remember what it is exactly. I had more things on my mind this morning. But anyway, acesports.com. If you haven't reached out about a video board, at least get a meeting. Man, I think that you'll be surprised by what they can do, the customization options, the quality of the product. We've talked already, it's farm to table, man. It is, they manufacture the pieces, they're going to service the pieces, they're going to do their own install. Everything is in-house. There's no third party. 10-year warranty. You can't go wrong. It's a cheat code in fundraising. So jump into acesports.com. Yeah, appreciate you guys for listening to the podcast today. We will sign off now. Should be back around 11 o'clock. Thank you guys so very much, and we'll talk to you soon.